So, today on Empower Me, helping you become your strongest self, I'm getting this awesome privilege to interview a friend, a mentor, a colleague, David Leifeste. And this is so fun because David's book is out, The Possibility of You,
Yay.
which is the coolest book because this book is a reflection of his over 40 years of you're an LPC, you're an executive coach, you're a life coach, you're like all these amazing things. It's 40 years of these conversations that he's had with massive amounts of clients. What would we decide the number? It's like something huge.
Yeah, 30 to 40,000. You know, it's been many. I've been blur. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, just
But
30 to 40,000 eyes or more.
a
Yep.
lot of stories in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people that you've helped.
Yeah.
A lot of people that you've helped. And that's why we do this and what we're excited about is bringing some of these resources to everybody. Because if you're in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area, you already know about David. So you've already heard about how amazing he is. And but if you don't live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you can walk through his process called the Oasis Method. You can do that with him through his book. So great book, and we're going to get into it. So I was on my way to Boston a couple weeks ago, and I've read this book before and I love it.
You've helped me with it.
Absolutely.
Annika has been a major collaborator and amazing support person. It took about 4 shepherdesses. Always had some woman nearby who's been very, very helpful. And Monica has been one of those key ones. So thank you for helping make this happen.
But you're sweet. But
So priceless.
love it, still love it. And I'm on this flight back from Boston, and I found myself underlining like, oh yes, oh yes, my clients need to hear that. Oh yes, oh I need to remember that with my clients. That's a great strategy. Like I just found myself underlining. So
Well, awesome. I'm glad you found some stuff in there that you still value.
what's crazy is and you said it best one time when we were talking about how you have this ability to kind of deduce down a concept that can get heady and weighty into something that is just practical and useful. And it's been part of your brilliance of working with all kinds of people. I mean,
Kind of. I have to have it simple because I'm kind of simple. And I think if it's not user friendly, practical, and applicable, what's the use of the knowledge? So there's so much wisdom out there. We all know that there's all the truth is out there, but how do you bring it down to something we can understand, think about regularly in a natural way, and then use it?
yeah.
So
Well, and you're brilliant at that. So this is my idea for today's show with you. If you'll play along.
okay.
If you're willing.
What are you thinking up now?
You're willing to play along. So I took a couple of these quotes and I've cut them up and put them in this little container for you to draw, and then we are going to discuss so our viewers can just hear some of the psychology behind it, or the moment for you behind it, or something with your clients, and we'll just go back and forth about your moment. So if you would do the honors.
Well, that's a fun idea. So all this is stuff from my book in here.
It's all
useful.
Quotes from your book.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, let's see what's in here. This is also means I won't know until we open it. What you're asking.
Which makes it all the more fun.
Okie dokie. All righty. Okay, so do you want me to read this, or do you want to
read it?
You got some glasses.
I got the glasses.
I didn't bring any. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, this is you talking about your clients.
Okay.
And I remember having the same kind of aha.
Okay.
You said, together we have been saved from ourselves, gained wisdom about life, and learned to become honest with ourselves and one another. And I'm going to take it a step further. You said, I'm forever grateful to God who led me to seek this happiness and wisdom and dream of helping others, and in the end saved myself.
Oh, wow. That's
You get more profound than that.
No, that would always chokes me up. I remember when I wrote that, because I always know it's when you're writing, as you know, when you're onto something that is divine, something that is really the truth, you totally feel it.
Yes.
And I remember writing that and then just kind of getting choked up and thinking,
Yeah.
if I had not been in the presence of so many lovely people who are sharing their pain and their lives and allowing me in
Yeah.
to learn. I mean, I'm there to help them, obviously, but
Right.
what's happening also
Right.
is I'm learning from their journey.
Yeah.
And so I am so aware that without their wisdom, without them sharing their journey with me, I would not be here today. That they literally, as it was part of God's plan in a way,
Yeah.
to save me from myself as I
Yeah.
tried to save other people.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting and powerful
Yeah.
kind of discovery.
Well, what's interesting about that is it makes me think of whenever I went into the field of counseling, one of the first things that I recalled was a verse, and it's somewhere in New Testament, but it's to comfort with the comfort you've been given. And I remember how it was, we talk about the hero's journey and how the wounded person goes out looking for that solution or that answer, and then they bring it back to the village, right? So there's that hero's journey. But I was like, what a wonderful Christian concept that the comfort that we've been given, whatever we were out there seeking, trying to find our own comfort, we end up coming into this relationship with others, and we get to be part of a collective comfort and a holistic. So I love that.
Yeah,
But
I truly believe that was, you picked one of the most powerful, profound moments of the writing.
as you're right.
Yeah, is that this calling and this ability to be in with these lovely people who've trusted their most vulnerable part of their lives and selves,
Right.
with me,
Right.
has allowed me to learn and grow and to get the kind of salvation on earth. I always tell God in the morning, I know I'm okay later, but I'm learning about today.
Yeah.
So could
Yeah.
you help me save me today from
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Save me from me today.
Yeah.
And so one day at a time, just trying not to mess up what already is a gifted, beautiful life by my impulsive or short-sighted.
Our humanness.
Yes, our
Our
humanness.
humanness.
Yeah. It's a miracle that we get through another day, get anywhere, get anything accomplished, and not completely blow it.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, so
That's definitely true in my life with ADD.
yeah. I mean, I'm constantly grateful for each day that I end up when I'm back home where I was supposed to be and everything is okay. Thank you, Jesus.
I love it. Okay, let's do another one.
Okay,
This is so,
alright.
and you get to drop.
Okay.
So super fun.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
You want to read it? Can you read it?
Okay. This one says, we all long for peace of mind, comfort, encouragement, maybe even forgiveness, a way to resolve those stubborn regrets.
Yeah.
We want to be acknowledged and seen. We look for connection, to belong, to be loved,
Yep.
and in love.
Uh,
Wow. It's a lot, isn't it?
so I remember still that moment on the plane when I'm reading this, right? And I'm underlining. And I had never put together the word regret with forgiveness. So I remember having just kind of a aha moment of the amount of regret that comes when we don't forgive with ourselves is unbearable. I mean, I've seen it with myself and I've seen it with my clients. The weight of unforgiveness toward ourself is a regret and a hurt that I don't know that it can be quantified with words.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, as we try to find peace,
Mhm.
right, which means we don't want the past haunting us. We don't want it continually causing us to feel like we were stupid, we were bad,
Right.
we were wrong. We just don't want to. That doesn't go with peace. So to find peace, we are attempting to get rid of the things that obstruct peace. And part of that would be the regret of what could have been, should have been, and what we did that might have caused that
Yeah.
to not have occurred right.
Right.
So, so we have to, as a human being, go, I forgive myself
Right.
for not being all-knowing, always present in the moment, with a logical, kind of resounding wisdom.
Yeah.
Because as we go, we don't have all the information that later
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
So what happens is our brain takes everything that's happened since that time, which was not known at this juncture,
Right.
and it adds it to the story
Wow.
as if we were
should be accountable for that information.
Yeah, we were going to work from all of that.
Right.
And then he goes, "Gosh, you're such an idiot,"
Right.
and you're just,
Right.
why did you do that?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
How did you not know?
Yeah. And then you get all this self-judgment and hostility.
Yeah.
And now you've hijacked your peace that's in the now,
Yeah.
with that, what you should have done, what you could have done, what if from the past. So having grace
Yeah.
for yourself as a human being,
Mm-hmm.
for the fact that we're in a constant state of learning, we're in a constant state of trying to do better,
Yeah.
and that meant along the way there were some times that could have been done better that weren't our best moments. But the point today is, what have I learned, and what's been different about me today,
Mm-hmm.
and what am I going to do differently as I move forward? We've got to always bring it back into the space of now,
Yeah.
where we are empowered to do something differently, to be more
Right.
than we were. Because that's what regret is. It's trying to grieve. It's grieving the loss of what could have been.
Oh my gosh. That is the best definition I think I've ever heard.
Does that resonate?
Oh, that so resonates.
We're just grieving what was supposed to have happened,
Right.
what could have happened.
Right.
So to
Right.
what actually did occur.
Right.
And that discrepancy between the two.
Yeah. Right.
And so
Wow.
what is the antidote to that, is to say, well, today,
Yeah.
this is what I've learned about that. And this is what I've become as a result of that. And
Right.
this is what I'm going to do with that moving forward.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
And so now I'm going to reconcile that loss.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I've got something from it.
Right. Well, and that's the empowerment piece.
Yes.
We've
got to always come back to now and how I can be empowered, because the brain wants something to be able to do about that. And
Right.
the past is over. What's ever occurred is there's powerlessness.
Right.
And that only leads to more of the grief, more of the sadness, more of the anger, more of the resentment.
Yeah.
And all of that, I always think about things like, which emotion has some productive value?
Yeah. Okay.
Does
Love-
being resentful have productive value?
Yeah.
Is there anything that can come out of that?
No.
Just going back and beating myself up and self-deprecating myself,
No.
does that have an ROI?
I can actually be your guinea pig. No. Not helpful.
And not only does it not, it continued to take away from what I have today to work from.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Why would you take away from your resources that you have today that can build a different
Right.
tomorrow with something that doesn't have ROI, plus is pulling away from what does work today, or what does have value today, and what can make a difference today?
Yeah.
In the area of that loss that you're still reconciling.
So that one of the tools that I started a long time ago doing with myself, my mentor actually told me this, and she said, you need an evidence notebook, right? You need to be able to write down the truth of the words and the actions. And I found that because I kept the abuse cycle going in my head, right? My abusive inner voice was not in alignment with my outside actions.
So the objective outcomes, evidence-based, who you are by what you actually had done, and the essence of who you be.
Yes, exactly. And so what ended up happening is, when I did the evidence notebook and I started to actually see, no, I was struggling with regret. I was struggling with what you said, the loss of what I didn't have or wanted to have, and it didn't. And
what you thought you had.
What I thought I had. So it was so interesting whenever I looked back at the being specific and speaking from a place of truth, right? Just such a game changer. So
that's moving into the left brain, where the logic and the objective data is, right? That's leading to what is, like you said, evidence-based. Therefore, that is what is of the essence of what actually substantively is true.
Yes, exactly.
Versus what you've emotionally
exactly
been perceiving
Yeah.
in the paradigm.
Which, if we're going through Oasis, so we're talking about that, move us through the steps. There's the
Okay.
openness.
Yes. Yeah. So, Oasis, in terms of the concept, the model for the book, is a metaphor
Yeah.
for the kind of life that we want, right? Where it's a beautiful paradise, right? That is a refuge from the world,
Yes.
that where things and people and our possibilities and our dreams and what really we were destined to have and to be
Right.
has the opportunity to be cultivated.
Yeah.
So that's our
But most
Oasis.
people don't know how. And
It-
that's what I love about it. You made tangible steps
Yeah.
to how to do it.
Well, I always kind of feel like it's great to know that we could live in heaven now, but how do you get there?
Yeah.
How do I get to that heaven here? God said Jesus said to advance and forward the kingdom now. I mean, it's possible to either be in heaven or hell right here on earth.
That's true.
Many people are in hell,
Right.
and many people are on different stages and levels of hell.
Yes.
And yet the soul longs to get up and transcend into the heavenlies,
It does.
into where you have a much more beautiful view, and where things are, where they're expanded,
Right.
and there's always new possibilities emerging.
Yeah.
So the acronym of Oasis is the map. It's the how to get to the metaphor of the oasis, right? So Oasis, the metaphor,
Yeah.
and the acronym, acronym for some of you maybe know what that word means. It's that each letter represents like a word, right?
Yes.
I don't know, 3R. But anyway, yeah. Is that so? O would be for being open, right?
Right.
And so if I'm going to discover something different, if I'm going to get unstuck, if I'm
Yes.
going to get to
Yes.
someplace I haven't been, I have to be open to going somewhere I haven't been. And I have to be
Right.
open to uncertainty, and I have to be open to an adventure, and I have to be
Yeah.
open to allowing something different to occur than has always occurred.
Right.
Many of us are trying to get out of the Groundhog Day
Oh,
existence of the same,
yeah.
going the same place, the same way, the same day that we did the day before.
Right.
That is not natural to the spirit. The spirit
No.
wants to fly.
Right.
Your little butterfly up here, wants to, get into the butterfly, get away, get out of the cocoon,
We do.
and
We would.
expand,
Yeah.
and then fly somewhere
Right.
and get somewhere it hadn't been before.
Yeah.
And so you can't do that with a closed, fixed mindset.
No.
So the first little biatch slap I'm going to give people is to get out of your way and be open to something different. Be open to believing in something different. Be open to allowing something from different. Being allowing to go somewhere different.
Yeah.
So that you can discover what else is out there.
What's there?
Right. And in the fact that takes us to our A, which the A for Oasis is to learn to analyze and assess. And that is to learn to assess with good critical thinking.
Yeah.
That's been lost today.
Yes. Yes.
There is a terrible crisis in America with us. We don't have think.
Yeah.
We know how to be manipulated.
Thinking.
We know how to react.
Right.
We know how to jump onto a bandwagon.
Right.
We know how to follow a
Right.
bunch of people who
Right.
act like they know what they're doing.
But in America's defense, we've got people stuck in that limbic system that cannot get to that prefrontal cortex.
That's right.
Because we've been so traumatized.
Absolutely.
as a
I
people.
say that with all the grace
Yeah,
and humility,
right,
and
we do.
that I appreciate you reminding us that we got to know we ain't here,
Right.
and we need to get.
I love how you bring us here, though.
Let's.
Part of the book, the way that you bring us here.
So that is the analyze is to learn to think objectively and accurately about what you're seeing as you start to open up,
Yeah.
so that you're doing that with a fresh eyes,
Yeah.
not based on bias,
Yeah.
not based on what you thought you knew,
Yeah.
not based on how you've been raised, not
Mm-mm.
based on any story, but
Right.
based like a scientist on a new
Right.
set of fresh eyes.
Yeah. Which is where the
Observing.
evidence note, but kind of fits in.
That's right. That's what
'Cause
you're giving.
You're
us.
wanting to look for specifics.
How many of us are continue to operate off myth,
Okay.
operate off old stories about
Right.
ourselves,
Right.
about God, about
Yeah.
life, about what we can
Yeah.
do, about what
Or the
yeah.
words of others that we've
Yes.
heard over and over.
We have no idea how it has corrupted the hard drive of our thinking,
Oh,
and
that's
therefore of our belief structure, and therefore of the reality that we live in.
I see this all the time. I mean, this is, yes.
And,
Yes.
and so analyze is
Yes.
huge because it says, I'm going to look freshly.
Yeah.
I'm going to look cleanly
Yeah.
at each thing
Yeah.
anew.
Yeah.
And it is and the analyze is a dynamic. I don't just analyze it and establish it. I continue to stay openly,
Right.
analytically assessing
Oh,
whatever comes up and whatever I think I know. I'm constantly questioning as a
yes.
scientist.
Absolutely.
That's how we get to good research. Good science is we are constantly challenging what we
Yes.
think we know,
I love that.
right?
Yep. And we are in the soft science, my friend,
And no, we're in the soft science of being humans in
Yep.
this world and this culture.
which
with
is
a lot of
changing.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So we got to get scientific. So A is analytic, left brain assessment. The S is now the sensing spiritually of soulfully of what we think we've understood from our analysis. Because I always feel like if my left brain head analysis is right, I will sense it
Yeah.
in my gut.
Yes.
That's how I have a final knowing is the peace that comes
Yes.
from the angle I take in
Yes.
from my assessment. So if I'm on, I will feel it and I will get a sensing, sort of a spiritual, sort of soulful confirmation that I then comes out of that. It now has a new sort of imagination, ideation, new kind of instinctual, that's eyes, of what I could therefore now do about what I
Right.
have understood. Because we have to go into new action
Yeah.
to get the shifts in our lives that we're looking for.
Absolutely. So it's like the whiteboard moment.
That's right. That's when we go,
Yeah.
like today I'm here with Monica and I'm going, I didn't know about your studio here. I've been looking for a studio. This is a leading of the idea of what might be next for my podcast, right?
Yeah.
That leads to the final S of getting a solution to whatever you're searching for that brings shift.
Right.
So everything is, we're all about trying to collaborate and cooperatively dance with circumstances, God, life,
Yeah.
to allow and usher in the next best version of us and our lives.
Yes.
Isn't that exciting?
I know. I love that because the shift is what so many people want, but they don't know how to get there. You know, we talked about the being stuck, right? And how many clients have come in and said, I'm so stuck, right? And you can't do the same thing and expect a different result, right?
You can't keep understanding the problem the same way
Mm-mm.
because you're going to keep doing the same thing in response to what you think you understand.
Right.
You're just going to keep giving you the same outcomes that you don't want.
Right. Exactly. And the subconscious running the show at 95%. Like, I mean, my
It
goodness.
says, you told us what you know, you put the data points in, we're just going to operate off that and
Right.
keep taking you where we've been.
Right. Because this is what we know and it's our familiar.
Yeah. And familiar will continue to be the tail that wags us.
Yes.
And so O is so important because I have to be open to that awareness.
Yeah.
I have to be open to allowing something different. I have to be open to a different way of understanding so that I can be open to discovering it. And then from that, now I'm analyzing something that I didn't know before.
Right.
I'm sensing if that is what is right. I'm getting ideas off of the actual accurate assessment of the problem, which guess what? If you go to the doctor, which most of the time we do, they say, oh, you're just having whatever problem, Monica, because you know what? You're old now. You're menopausal. So that's the problem.
Apparently postmenopausal.
Postmenopausal. So you're postmenopausal, and that's why you can't lose weight, whatever you say. There you go. Well, okay. Are we going to accept that?
No.
Where does hope with that? Where is hope with that assessment?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no hope.
There's nothing. There's no hope there.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So we don't accept that. So we're going to say, I'm openly going to reassess.
Yeah.
And as you have now been led to in your situation.
Yeah, my situation. I had a
understand,
thyroid,
right?
bless my heart.
Yeah, who knew?
Right, who knew it was acting up?
And most
Not
people, you don't
performing.
realize that you don't have all your information.
No.
If you're hopeless,
No.
if what you're working from is not getting you somewhere different to somewhere better, shifting to
Right.
what's supposed to be next, the next best version of you, the next best version of your life, it's because you don't have all the data points. You don't have an accurate assessment
Right.
of what's actually going on. It's not comprehensive, and the way you understand it is not accurate.
Right.
Because there is always a better way.
Right.
There is always
Always.
hope.
And now it's not even as much, you know, there used to be a time back in our younger day, right? There was a time that resources were not readily available. If you were stuck, you were stuck.
Oh yeah, you couldn't.
Right.
Where would you go? How could you find out anything else?
But now with our YouTube show and with the fact that there's so many free resources now,
Oh,
you had to have some discernment. But my goodness, the conversations that are taking place about mental and emotional health.
oh.
I mean, people have resources now, which is great. You just have to be proactive and go get them.
Yes, and then you have
Good.
to be discerning on what
Yes.
you decide to, who you decide to follow,
Exactly.
and that they have credibility.
Yeah.
Part of critical thinking
Right.
is learning to assess credible research,
Yes.
right?
Oh my God.
Right? We learn
Speaking my
reliability and validity.
Yes.
I want to teach everybody what we learned in experimental psychology and about research. I mean, you've got, and research means I am seeking truth.
Right.
I'm seeking to find out if what I think I understand about what causes what
Right.
and what is a problem is accurately understood.
Right.
And that means that when I do my research, I check different sources that are credible,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
actually have experience studying this.
Yeah.
They have credibility.
Exactly.
They have lots of ways that they've demonstrated with outcomes
Exactly.
that what they say is who they are,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that it
Yeah.
produces results.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
We have to do in-depth work to get to that.
Yeah.
And our cultures are really quick to grab onto stuff if it's sensational and it sounds good at first
Yeah.
listen. And
Yeah.
I just want to teach people that you really need to know how to do your research in order to get that. So we're all in that Oasis, we're all trying to find that and build that kind of world. We're attempting through being open, knowing how to be analytical in our thinking, sensing, and intuitive to find and to work into the shifts,
Yeah.
to allow the shifts, to stumble upon the shifts, to cooperate collaboratively with the universe, to bring about the shift to the next best version of us and the next best version of the Oasis world we want to live in.
Exactly.
And then that we can share from and that we can invite others into.
Yeah.
Why have a wonderful world if you don't allow others in? That we want to share it. Everything I do is so that we can all live this way.
So we can collectively share these truths and this of course I love that you shared it with me. Okay, I'm
Another way?
like a kid at Christmas. I'm like, can we
Yes, go to another one.
another one? Okay,
Yeah.
you just pull it.
Okay.
You pull it. I'll read it. You pull it.
All righty.
Because I always love that I get to tell kind of the backstory too.
Okay. This one says, I've done all of this with the hope that when I'm in the twilight of my life, I'll be satisfied with the life I lived rather than regret the one I didn't.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
good. That's so good.
Wow. Nothing's more powerful than going to someone's funeral who's really done life well.
Yes. Oh my God.
Have you been to one where you
You leave inspired.
I need to do something more than I'm doing. I need to get with it because that person, by the way they shared,
Yeah.
the different people shared the life of that person as we're honoring and memorializing that.
Wow.
You realize what a person can do with a life if they're really intentional
Right.
and they're really working according to their gifts
Right.
and their purpose.
Oh.
And they live with a constant sense of
Yeah.
really trying to contribute.
And just spread. I just went to a funeral of a friend of mine, and so 52 years old, just dropped dead.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Healthy, like so. It's very. But when we're talking about this, age was not even. You know, normally when there's an older person that's passed, and you go and you get so inspired. This guy is so kind, so compassionate, so successful, CEO of a company, and was checking in Life Kids every week. I mean, at Life Church. So wonderful man, great family man. His kids, a huge loss because he was an integral part of their family. But no, I did the same thing. I walked out of there and I thought, I want to be at least half the person that man lived as.
Yeah.
I want people to say that about me, that I was always there for them and I was kind and I was eager to help.
Yeah. That's
Right.
what a good funeral does.
Oh my
And I know it sounds morbid for some of you. See, younger people,
It
but
does.
the power of these cultural times of tradition, like a wedding or a funeral or a graduation, is those are moments where we really look at how we're living
Yeah.
and we assess it together in community. And so we're able to kind of hear through your friend's life
Yeah.
what a well done life looks
Right.
like. And we're reminded in ways that we wouldn't otherwise think about
Right.
of how we're living
Right.
and the ways that we're going about spending our time
Mm-hmm.
and our energy.
Yeah.
So when I wrote this, I think that the worst feeling I think someone could have is to have gotten to the end of their lives and said, I didn't bring it all.
Yeah.
I didn't show up. I didn't go for it.
Yeah.
And now there's no more time.
Well, and you had, so, I mean, I'm going to pull up the possibility of you again. You had how many of us on your butt about getting this into the hands of people because we didn't want you to be gone without this in people's hands in a way that people could use it.
Well,
I mean, how many of us, I laugh because I know your sister and I were too.
absolutely. Y'all two peas in a pod.
Yeah, it was just like,
Oh yeah. It literally took multiple very determined friends and colleagues and friends to continue to push me across the finish line.
I do understand though, because when you have a thriving practice and you're doing all those one-on-ones, which I know how energizing those are, and how you're just like, ooh, oh, this is so fun. It's like the idea of sequestering yourself to do those final details of a book
Yeah.
is like,
They're so not sexy.
yeah, not
Yeah.
no,
Let me tell you
nothing
homework.
sexy
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
the end of that.
all the way through school, which I've done a lot of school. The only way I got through it was I created parties, and I created really sexy study partners, and usually like food and booze. And I said, okay, now we got a party. Now we'll talk about this otherwise boring, cold, boring stuff. But yeah, it's hard to use stuff because but I do think all of us need to realize, if you haven't been to a good funeral recently, it's a bad prescription.
Yeah.
Go to one, hear about how someone lived, and think about how are you living. Stephen Covey said in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, live with the end in mind.
Yes.
Right? Think about your funeral. Think about what are they going to say. Think about what happened with your life. What did you do with your time? What did you do with your energy? What did you do with your resources?
Yeah.
To bring a rich life, not only to yourself, but to our world.
Yes.
And so I did constant think, I don't want regrets.
I love that.
How painful.
Okay. One more, and we'll make this maybe our last one for our viewers. Say.
All right, let's you read the next one. Because your voice is so much more pleasant.
Oh, you stop. Oh my goodness. Yes, I remember this. Just talking about clients, they expected a different outcome, even though they were working from the same premise, same assumptions and beliefs. Right. And that goes back to kind of what we were talking about of, what is that? The definition of insanity is when we do the same thing but expect different outcomes.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and that's why I really strongly recommend, if you're watching this, if you've made it to this point in the show, then there's something about this conversation that's intriguing you, right? And so get outside your comfort zone. Let's do the possibility of me. Let's go through the Oasis Method, and let's figure out what shift you need in your life for you to get to the next level of you as a person.
Yeah, the next best version of you, and the next best season of your life. Right?
I know that.
We don't know how much time we have. That's what all your story about your young man, 52, being that I'm 66 is like, we don't know when it's over.
No.
That's the weird thing about life. You think, oh, I get to my 80s. We don't know where we got that, but we just thought, oh, that's the average age. It used to be, it's getting younger because in America we have a lot of sucky food and a lot of sucky water and a lot of sucky air, and we're like dying sooner. Our expectancy date for living is going down. But so we got to go, let's be intentional with every single hour, every single day. Let's do it with a conscious, intentional effort to do it well. Right. Do it openly, with good thinking, with really paying attention to what you're feeling spiritually and in your gut.
Yeah.
Let's get and pay attention to the ideas that pop up. Let's then take action on those ideas, and let's see where those can take us.
Which, that makes me, so something too, that was another, and I'm pulling this out just because when I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this quote. And I don't know how I've gone my whole life without hearing it.
Oh, nice.
So
I didn't realize you hadn't heard. That's amazing.
I'm an Emerson fan anyway.
Okay.
So uh, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment.
Ooh.
What I love about this is you know me well, and you knew me as a crowdsourcing fiend for how I was going to present myself to the world. And I just don't even have it in me anymore to do that, right? Because I've done way too much self-connection.
That's helpful to get worn out.
Yeah. Age to salt, a little bit of,
Yeah.
Yeah. You
I
get
don't have enough energy to care. I'm sorry.
you get over 50, it's like I wish that I had the energy to fake it, but I don't.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how that walking in your own authenticity and being able to be honest with yourself and open with yourself, being able to accept your weaknesses, and still have the ability to show yourself your strengths, right? It to me has been one of my greatest accomplishments because the transformation that I experienced, very similar to the transformation that you give your readers and you've given to your clients, and at one point you even you gave to me. So one of the funny things I'm gonna rat on myself. I went through a very ugly divorce. It was just ugly on all fronts, and it was behind me, but I didn't know how to tell the story as it was, which was behind me, not in my present. And David said the most insightful thing is you said, what if you told your story from the promised land instead of from the desert? And
wow, that sounds really good. You sure that was me?
it was you. It was so good. So I went home and I started this process. It took me a while to be able to tell it from the promised land. But I took the advice and I started to actually put together and understand, wait a minute. And now my career, my impact, my relationships, the health and wealth that I've experienced are a result of having gone through something that I didn't want to go through.
Wow. That is such a testimony. Preach. I celebrate that, Wendy. That's beautiful. Yeah. And it is so obvious. Yes. You are a promised land person. You operate that. You just needed to own it.
Yeah.
Right?
I needed to own it.
Yeah. And you now are manifesting all of the
Absolutely
kind of fruits of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And on steroids.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
but it is.
So that's what's exciting to me. That's why I believe in the hope that can come from within us when we are working from truth. The truth will set us free.
Yep.
Many people don't know that that's Jesus. They think it might be Martin Luther King Jr. or Buddha or somebody. Everybody knew it.
Right.
Obviously, when you operate from accurate, objectively, and truthful basis, the outcomes will work.
Absolutely.
They will prosper.
Absolutely.
They will bring out the best that can be.
Right.
If you're not getting results like that, something about the way and what you're believing is off.
Right.
And so we are wanting to help you come to know your truth, own your truth, take the risk of believing in it and acting upon it and walking into your promised land.
In that, yes, and being able to reframe and understand your story from a place of the promised land, because you've made that shift, because you've done Oasis. So that means you bought this book. It's on Amazon. You will see in the link below, if you're watching still, check out the link below, get on there, order your book today, work through it. If you're part of the school community for Empower Me, stick around for the next video, because I have 2 school questions, and guess what? I'm going to keep David here so that maybe he'll answer them too. So thank you for viewing today, and of course, as always, Empower Me is all about you, and it's helping you become your strongest self. So I just keep bringing you resources, and David is one of the best resources I know. So thank you for watching.
Me, Monica. It's a delight to be with y'all today.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely loved it.